Hi guys, and welcome to my channel. It is Karen here with you today. Today I'm going to share with you a page that I have used in my Use It Up journal. So I've got a background here that I've covered with some leftover paint, or quite a lot of leftover paint, a few times on different occasions is what I'm trying to say. So I've made up that background already. So what I've got there is a piece of rice paper from Scrap FX, and I've just glued that down with some gel medium. And what I'm doing now is adding some extra paint in the colours that I've got around my background, just on the edges of the rice paper to help blend it in to the background. That's what I'm trying to say. Yes, blend it into the background. So it's going from one to the other nicely. And I'll get that nice and dry before I start moving on to the next part. So the stencil that I've got here is from Paperartsy. It's an Australian company. So I've got my makeup sponge, and I'm just putting a bit of paint on my makeup sponge and bouncing it through my stencil. So I haven't got a real lot of paint on my sponge, because if you have too much, then it will just ooze out underneath your stencil and it won't look as nice. So I've grabbed out some magicals, which I haven't used for a very long time. So I've got a few different colours here that I'm going to sprinkle onto my page and move the colours around. And I do manage to end up with too much water on my page, as always. So I have to mop it up a little bit as I'm drying it. So because there's massive big puddles there, and it takes too long if you leave those there. And the other thing I like to do is just move the colours around with the heat gun as I'm drying it. And I end up with a more interesting kind of effect there happening in the background. So now my background has got a little bit of sparkle added to it. So the colour that I've got now is just a purple one. I can't remember what it's called. And I've just sprinkled that in as well. It was a little bit dark, but it does create some nice interest there onto my page. And even though you can't see my rice paper on the camera, it is actually there, and it does look quite cool, like it's hidden in there in the background. So now what I'm going to do is grab some clear gesso, and I'm going to add that in over the top, over the whole lot, and that is to help stop those magicals from leaching up through everything else that I do as I move on through my different layers. So yeah, it just helps seal everything in there while you move on to the next part. And so while that's kind of drying, I'm going to glue on some rice paper here with an image that I've stamped from Lynn Perella at Paperartsy. So it's out of one of her stamp sets. And I've also got a piece of Dina Wakley's writings rice paper, collage paper, out of her new collection. That little blue butterfly is from Minte. It's out of a little book that's full of different flowers and butterflies that you can fussy cut out. So it's really quite pretty. So the stencil that I just used there is from Art by Marlene. It's the wings one. So I've just used some of my paint there and added in a little bit more gesso to change the colour. So it's a little bit more different than what the background is. So when I get that dry, I'll actually go over that with a Signo pen to help define the edges or the shapes of the butterfly. That's what I'm trying to say. So that big stamp there is from Tim Holtz. It's the Renaissance one of his brand new ones out. And I've got another little one there, and I think it's called Remnants, or Wallpaper Remnants, or something like that. So I've just added some of that a little bit in there as well. So the ink that I'm using is archival jet black, because it doesn't move when it's dry. So it's really good. That little circle stamp that I put on is from Seth Apter, also from Paperartsy. So now I'm going around the outside of my stencil shape with my Signo pen. But if you couldn't remember where all the details were that were in your stencil, what you could do is just lay your stencil back over the top of the shape, and then go around the stencil with your pen. So that would work as well. I have done that before. So now I've got a Intense pencil in purple, and that's just to help to disguise the little edges of the rice paper that I had there around my around my image and just gluing on my pretty blue butterfly. And I've got my Posca pen now, and I'm just going to write out my quote, and it says, just when the caterpillar thought, or the caterpillar, how does it go? Just when the caterpillar thought the world was over, it turned into a butterfly. It became a butterfly, is what I should say. Yeah, so that's what that one is. Oh dear. Making videos is fun sometimes, especially when you can't remember what you've done. So that's just a little bit of a jolly pencil that I'm just scribbling there in the background, adding a little bit more detail. So because I've got that one little bit of blue on my page in the butterfly, I've just grabbed another Posca pen to do some mark making, to add that colour through and to tie it all in together. So I've also added in some gold splotches, which I managed to get all over my quote, so then you couldn't read it very well, so I've had to mop some of that up. And now I'm adding in just a little bit more white detail with another Posca paint pen. So that's pretty much it, really. And we'll just come up to the close-ups here in a minute, and you can see all the details. So I'm really quite happy with how my page has turned out. And I hope I have inspired you to start a Use It Up journal and get creative. Yeah, it's lots of fun. So, you should have one. Everyone should have one. So until next time, thank you so much for watching, and see you later. Bye.